So we have just heard that the South Korean cabinet has now approved a motion to lift martial law. So this is just hours after the president declared martial law, taking everyone by surprise. How on earth did we get here? Talk us through, first of all, exactly what happened and these different things that happened during the night.
So in the middle of the night in South Korea, around like 11 to the midnight, the president announced the emergency martial law all of a sudden, and without informing the head of the National Assembly, he implemented the military force in the country, and with the 6 points there. And people just learned that news all of a sudden from nowhere, and that is how all it began. And the National Assembly members quickly gathered, even though there was already the military forces placed in the National Assembly. And fortunately, the 190 the members gathered and they voted unanimously that against the martial law. And this morning in South Korea, like about 5 hours later, then the president announced that he will get this lifted, but through the cabinet meeting. So for me, it looks like it's not fully ended yet, but that is how it quickly all happened.
Yes, we have heard that the cabinet has agreed to approved a motion to lift martial law. But how did we get to this point? Because the last time martial law was declared in South Korea was 1980, so this is quite some time ago.
Yes, this is really surreal. As a person who grew up with still around this time in Korea in 1980s and 90s, and I still had the memory that there was like gas tears around and university students were on the street. And as an elementary school student, we had to be kept in the school and having all these tear gases as well. But that was the time when we were under the authoritarian and the military regime and government. But in 2024, having martial law is really surreal. And including me, we had to ask around whether this is really or is it like fake news. And we had to check with multiple sources, and it turned out to be that it's real. Then all of a sudden now it's been quite chilled down. So it's really something that we still need to digest in every corner.
So we know the president, Yoon Suk Yeol, has been described as a lame duck president. His party doesn't have control of parliament, and there's been a lot of back and forth about bills being passed, particularly the budget. So what was his motivation, do you think, for declaring martial law?
So the budget issue is just the very minor excuse for him to raise this martial law. But behind of it, in Korea, for a while, we saw that a lot of gatherings and protests over weekend, people already began to demand the impeachment of the Yoon Suk Yeol because of the recent scandal of his wife, the first lady, with the high-level politicians and the corruption. So because of that, he was frustrated. And now, from many of our point of view, it looks like he really wanted to take this as a very radical measure. And it was the last resort for him to see, but it was really miscalculated.
What do you think will happen from here? We've seen the protests, we've seen people, go to National Assembly to protest this decision for martial law, which of course has now been rescinded. But where to from here? What do you think is going to happen?
I think the impeachment is inevitable, and people now, I think, having the catalytic moment, and more people will come to the street, and now the Yoon Suk Yeol will end his term. I think that is how the things will be processed.
Dr. Sojin Lim, thank you very much for joining us this morning to give us your insights. Appreciate it.
Thank you.